have insisted that first take Java advanced JavaScript, then we will start with Angular. Okay, so we'll start with advanced JavaScript part first, and then we will start with Angular. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes, it
Yes.
is visible.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good, great. Okay, so I'll be doing the code inside VS Code itself, and we will be using VS Code ID itself. So you can use your own IDE, but VS Code I would recommend for all the applications that we are going to create in Angular, as well as the some code that we are going to write. Okay, so just um, modern JS. Okay. In modern JavaScript, I hope you guys must be knowing about basic JavaScript, because last time I have uh, when I have conversed with other people, they were knowing about basic JavaScript. But Vatsal and Johara, I hope you guys also know about the basic JavaScript, because for Angular, we'll need at least a basic JavaScript part, and along with some advanced JavaScript features. Okay. So, starting with the first part of your advanced JavaScript, that is nothing but timer functions. Okay. So, how many of you know the timer functions in JavaScript? Have you heard about timer functions in JavaScript? Like set timeout, set interval.
Yes.
Okay. What is set timeout? What it does?
Actually, it will trigger that specific piece of code once that given amount of seconds that we have provided is expired,
Mm-hmm.
and set interval will run the same code after a specific intervals.
Correct. That's fine. Correct. So let's see how basically it works in JavaScript. Okay, and how well you know about set timeout. Let's see. Okay. Now to run our code, we need at least a server. So what I'm going to do is, I think you guys must have installed Node.js on your machine. If not, just go to nodejs.org site, okay, and download the recommended version for Node.js. Okay, if you are on Windows, just download the MSI installer, and if you're on Mac or Linux, just download the appropriate files and install Node.js. Okay, once you install Node.js, because that's a prerequisite for us for Angular as well. So, so if you install Node.js, you can just open the terminal and check out this command node space hyphen version. Okay, sorry, hyphen version. So if the version is printed, that means Node is properly installed on your machine. Okay, just download and install it. There are no specific steps for installation. You can just install the things that you install regularly on your Windows or any other machine. Okay, so once that is installed, okay, now here why I'm telling you to install Node.js, because by using Node.js, we'll just create a simple server and run our HTML files. Okay, because right now we are not learning about Angular. So Angular, okay, we have a basic server inside Angular itself. But if you are not using Angular, then we need to create some simple server so that we can host our basic pages on that server, right? So I'm creating an index.html file here, index.html. Okay. Now, if you are on VS Code, there is a shortcut for creating an entire HTML file. You can just type exclamation and type tab. Your entire HTML code will be displayed over here, right? So you can just create an entire HTML by just using exclamation and tab, but you should be inside HTML file. Okay. So first create an HTML file and then just type tab exclamation and tab. Your entire HTML file will be created. Okay. Then you can write your index HTML file here and then let's say h1 and in that and say index like this. Okay. Now if you want to run this HTML file as a server, okay, there is a okay there is a in VS Code there is a server installed by default, or if you want to use that server you can use it, or else you can open the terminal. Okay, you can just click on the new terminal here, or you can type control J. Control J will automatically toggle your terminal, that is your bottom part. Okay, so it will automatically open your terminal inside the folder which you are in right now. Okay, so if I'm in modern.js demo folder, so it will automatically open the folder terminal into that folder. Okay, now here what you can do is you can just type npx and http hyphen server. Okay, now npx command actually comes with your node.js. So when you install node.js, there are three commands that comes with your node.js. One is node, npm, and npx. So npx is actually a node.js command itself. So if you just type npx space http hyphen server, it will automatically start a server on this current folder. You can just hit enter and you will see the server has been created and it is actually live on this URL. You can just open that URL here and you will see hello. Okay, so that's how you can run a simple server. Okay, even if you make any changes, index demo, if you save it, you just need to again restart your server and then you can run it. Okay, so this is one way of creating a server. There is another way. If you haven't installed Node.js on your machine, okay, VS Code also comes with its own live server. Okay, so you just need to install one extension for that. Just go to extensions tab over here and search for live server. Okay, and install this live server. Okay, once you install this live server, see it is already installed on my machine. So you can go to this page and go to the index.html page, and here on the bottom right corner you can see the go live button. Just click on go live button and it will automatically open the port number like 5500 and index.html file. Okay, and when you do any changes inside this, it will automatically restart. Okay, so if I do index, then you can see automatically it becomes index. If you do like hello, then
Sir, can we use XAMPP here?
you can use XAMPP. That's also fine,
Okay, sir.
doesn't matter. Okay,
Okay,
and
okay.
since you are dealing with Node.js and I just don't want to start a extra server for that, because XAMPP will actually create run your Apache server or Nginx server, so that will add extra overhead. So just uh, if you are doing if you want to do it in XAMPP, that's also fine, doesn't matter. Okay? Or else you can simply do it in VS Code as well. Install live server and just go to the HTML file and go live. Okay, if you want to stop the server, just click on here. It will stop. Server is offline now. You can go and refresh your page. You will see site can't be reached. Okay, but if you want to go live, just click on this. It will automatically open the browser as well. Okay, got it. So just create the server and run your file on that server. Then we will start with the set timeout and set interval functions. Okay. If you have any if you are facing any issues, just let me know so that we can solve it. Once done, just let me know it's done. Okay, so that I can move ahead. Done. is the initial part of. Okay, no issues. Okay, so since we are going to start with the modern JavaScript part, so we need a server to run our application. So that's why we are creating a simple HTML file here. We have created a folder, and then in that folder we have created index.html file. Okay, you can write this HTML code by just clicking on like exclamation and tab. The entire HTML code will be generated for you. This is a VS Code feature. It's actually we call it as a emmet. Okay, the emmet already gives you the all HTML related shortcuts, so you can directly click on exclamation and tab. So entire HTML will be generated. And if you want to start a server on this page, install go to extensions and install live server extension. Okay, this extension. Once you install this extension, this option will come here. So this go live option will come here. Okay, this go live option, go to the page and click on this go live button. So if you click on this go live button, your server will start on 5500 port. Okay, so 5500 port server will start, and it will work on localhost or 127.0.0.1 IP address. So till this we have done it. So that's that's it. You have to do right now. Rajesh. We'll start with JavaScript. Sure. uh, Install 16.7.0. Don't install 18, because 18 is a um it's a not stable version. It's a nightly build version. That means it is a uh, the build is created like you can say last night as well, or like 1 or 2 days before. So it will be buggy. Okay, you will have a lot of errors if you install 18.7.0. Just install 16.7.0. That's a stable version, because as you can see it in the Node.js site itself. This is a LTS long-term support schedule version, and it's recommended for most users, and it has latest features. So this is the current. This is stable version. Okay, just install this stable version. Okay. So is it done for everyone? That's fine. That's fine. No worries. I just need a server, because I need to run this. Cool. Now let's write one JavaScript file and include that JavaScript file over here, so that we can run that JavaScript file. So I'll create a main.js file here, and I will include that main.js file in my index.html. So I hope you guys know how to include a JavaScript file in HTML. You can just write a script tag, script colon src. So here in the src, you can write main.js. Now currently we are in the same folder, so you can directly write main.js over here. And if you write like this, it will automatically get refreshed. You don't have to do anything. Go to inspect and check whether your JS file is included or not. Not here. Refresh. See, main.js is included. Okay. For testing purpose, if you want to check, just write console.log, and inside this, you'll write hello world. Save it and refresh. You can see hello world is coming. That means your main.js file is loaded perfectly, properly. Okay. Just try this out and see if it is working. Is it done? Cool. What about others? I'll need an answer because I have not marked your attendance then. Okay. If you're just attending for the attendance purpose, then please don't attend. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Okay. Cool. You can install it side by side, Johara. Because for if you are using VS Code and if you are using VS Code Live Server, the Node.js is not required, but you can install it side by side because it will be needed in Angular part. So just install it. Now, see, before understanding a set timeout or set timer, okay, I would like to ask one question. How many of you know about a callback function? Callback function. Have you heard about callback function before? Regular function, like we create a function and then we call that function. We can pass parameters to that function. Okay, so that's a regular function. In JavaScript, we can create that regular function. But how many of you know the callback function? Anybody?
Basically, you are passing a function as a parameter to another function.
Okay, good.
And
So,
yeah,
yeah. But why do we call it as a callback function? We are just passing a function to another function. But why do we call it as a callback function? No idea? Okay, no worries. Uh, so how many of you know JavaScript is a single threaded or multi-threaded?
single.
Single threaded, right? So JavaScript is actually made as a single threaded. So we cannot handle multiple threads, right? Now, how can we perform asynchronous operations then? Means if you want to perform multiple parallel operations, we cannot do without having a multiple threads, right? So if JavaScript is running on a single thread, how can we perform multiple operations? Okay, that's because of the asynchronous nature. Okay, so see, JavaScript actually runs on the various engines. Okay, so if you are using Chrome browser has V8 engine. If you are using Firefox, then it has its own engine. Okay, Edge browser also uses V8 engine. So every browser has its own engine, right? So this engine basically runs on a single thread. That's why we call JavaScript as a single threaded. Okay, so but when you run your application on a single thread, okay, if you want to perform any uh, like asynchronous operation or operation which is basically uh, heavy operations, okay, or which is time consuming operation, let's say file read and write, database read and write. So all of these operations are basically time consuming and heavy operations. If you want to perform this operation on single thread itself, then it will block the further execution, right? So the next execution, next part of the code will be blocked because of this operation. Okay, so in that case, what uh, JavaScript does is you basically call a asynchronous API or like um separate function which is provided by JavaScript itself or itself like asynchronous function or something like that. And when you call that function, your function execution happens outside of your thread. Okay, so that single thread, the execution of your program on that single thread will not be affected. Okay, so the heavy operation or operation which is time consuming will be taken out of your single thread. It will be executed in a separate process or separate thread itself because JavaScript runs on a single thread, but internally it creates its own threads. It creates its own multiple threads. Okay, we can't create a thread, but JavaScript internally creates multiple threads. Okay, so when you call this function separately, okay, like let's say a time consuming function. Let's say I'm reading from a file. That's a time consuming process. So we when you do this, your main execution will continue as it is, but the code which is reading the file will be taken out of your main thread. It will be executed in a separate thread. Okay, so when it is executed in a separate thread, now how that's when the execution of that particular part or execution of that particular function is completed, how can it come back to your main thread? Because it has been detached from your main thread, right? Then how can it come back to your main thread? It can come back via callback function. We call it as a callback function because it can be called back at a later point of time, right? So when you pass a function to a particular function, okay, that function will be called by that higher order function, you can say. Okay, higher order function I will explain you later on, but the function basically will be called by that other function when its task is done. Okay, let's take an example. So let's say I have one function here, function fun1, okay, which is like executing task here. Let's say executing fun1 task. Okay. Now there is another function. Let's call it as a async function, fun, like this. So this is like a asynchronous function. This is a asynchronous function. Now this will execute when you call this function. Let's assume this as a asynchronous function. Okay, let's assume this as a asynchronous function. So this function, when you call this function, okay, like this, async func, like this. Okay, this will be executed outside of your main thread. Okay, so when it is executed outside of your main thread, how can it come back to your main thread? Okay, so it can come back to a main thread by some function. Okay, so let's say I pass a callback function here. Okay, it performs its task console.log. Let's say before execution, okay, and like processing a task. Let's say processing, let's say before execution, and then after the execution is completed, it can call the function, and then after it console.log, you will see task completed, like this. Okay, so here you can pass a function fun1. So if you run this, so refresh, you will see that hello world. Obviously this is for because of this console log. I'll comment this out. Refresh, you can see before execution is printed over here. After that, executing fun1 task. This has executed because of this callback function is called. Okay. And after that, console.log task completed is called. Okay. That means I'm passing a function here. That function is basically passed to your async func call. And that function is called back once the task of your async func is completed. Okay, then we can call this function, and then your execution will basically be done. You can call this function at any point of time. You can call it after the task is completed, so it will be executed here. Okay, you can call it at the first. That's up to you. Okay, so callback function is basically will call the function. Okay, or like will be passed as a function to another function. That function will basically call this function once its task is completed. Okay, and once its task is completed, it can come back to your main thread by using this callback function. Now this callback function is declared where? It is declared in your main thread. So once it comes back, it will execute this executing fun task, and it will print this out. Okay, that's how your callback function works. So it's like you're passing one function to another function, and that function is calling that function after its task is completed. Okay, or it can call at any point of time. That's how your callback function works. And sometimes we call this as a higher order function as well. So higher order function is nothing but a async func is a higher order function. Okay, a higher order function means what? The function to which you are passing another function. Okay, so async function is a higher order function because we are passing another function to this. Okay, so I can write in a comment async func is called as higher order, okay, because the function is passed to this. Okay. That's how the callback function works. Got it? How to what is callback function?
Yes.
Okay, try it out. Cool. Try this out, and once done, just let me know. Done करके लिख देना. Okay, good. What about others? Yeah, yeah, waiting. Cool. Great. Okay. So this is what your callback function is. Okay. Now this callback function is actually required when you are using set timeout or set interval. Okay. Why so? Because see set timeout as Vatsal told, like set timeout is a function which will execute the task after a particular period of time, right? The time or duration we specify how much time after how much time it's the task should be performed, but that task is nothing but a function itself. Okay, and that function is actually going to be executed after that interval, right? So I'm just keeping this code as it is, and I will create a separate file. Okay, cool. I'll create a separate file. I'll name it as timer.js. Okay, wait. Timer.js, and here I will use timer.js. Okay. I'll keep this main.js as it is. So in this timer.js, I'm going to execute set timeout function. So set timeout, when you write a set timeout, okay, so it accepts two parameters. First is handler, and second is timeout function, timeout number. Okay, how much after how much time you want to execute the handler. So this handler is nothing but a function itself. So you can create a function. Uh, you know, like you can create a function like two ways. One is directly using a function keyword, or another is using a variable. Okay, so you can create a function like this, function fun1, like this. Okay, and or you can create a function like this as well, fun1 equals to function, like this. Okay. This is like a function declaration. Both of these are declaration of the functions itself, but one is by creating a variable and one is directly creating a function by using function name. Okay, so I'm creating a function like this. So fun1, I'm declaring, let's say here console.log hello JavaScript. Okay, yeah, hello JS. Now this function one, okay, this is just a fun one. If I want to call this function, I can simply say fun1 here, and that function will be called. Okay, you can just comment it out, and if you refresh, you'll see hello JS here. Okay, but I want to call this function after some time. Let's say after 3 seconds. Okay, I want to call this function after 3 seconds. So how will you call it? So you need a timer function for that. So this is a set timeout function. For set timeout function, you should pass a function that is fun1. Okay, this will be called after some time. Let's say 3 seconds. Okay. Now here you timeout, in the timeout number you specify a number in milliseconds. Okay. So if you want to perform after 3 seconds, then you should specify 3000. Okay. 3000 milliseconds means 3 seconds. Okay. So after 3 seconds, the function one will be called, and function will one will execute and print this hello.js for us. Okay, let's check it out. I'll save it. You can see 1, 2, 3. See, after 3 seconds, you can see hello.js. Okay, you can try it again. I will refresh this page. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you can see after 3 seconds, it's executing this hello.js. So, but this is like a asynchronous task itself. Okay, because you can see that means the function one is not executed immediately. In previous case, when we use main.js, right? In main.js, we have executed immediately. Okay, but right now it is not executed immediately. It will be executed after 3 seconds. Okay, but this function one, we are not calling it, right? We haven't called this function one. Calling a function means what? You are putting a round brackets here, right? So this way we call a function. We are not calling a function here, right? We are just passing a function reference here. This function one is called by set timeout after 3 seconds. That's why it is called as callback function. Okay, so it is called after 3 seconds, call back after 3 seconds. Okay, that's why it is called as callback function. And timeout is basically used. Set timeout is used to call a function after particular time interval, particular duration. You can say. Got it? Set timeout. Understood?
Yes.
Okay. Good. What about others? Okay. Now try this out. Okay. One more thing. If you directly see, we are creating a function here and then we are passing a function. Okay. But if you directly want to pass this entire function here, you can do that. Okay. Means you can do something like this as well. Set timeout, and inside this function, and after 3 seconds, this function will be called. Okay. So it's like entire function I'm passing it over here. This is also possible because you are passing a reference here. We are not calling a function. We are directly creating a function and passing that function here. This is also possible in settime in JavaScript. Okay, this will also execute after 3 seconds, and after 3 seconds, hello.js will be printed. Okay, see, I'll say hello.js1 here so that there will not be any hello.js1. Okay, so that's how you can pass directly a function, or you can create a function first and then pass a function. That's also possible. Got it? Try this out. Then I will tell you further things about timeout. Then good. Cool. What about others? Okay. Great. Shall we move ahead? Cool. Now, see, this as I told you, set timeout accepts two parameters. Okay, but that's not true. Set timeout actually accepts more than two parameters as well. Okay, why and how? Okay, so let's say you have a function. Great. Now let's say you have a function. I'll just comment this out so that it will not interfere in our execution. Okay. Let's say we have a function fun2 equals to function, and this function actually accepts let's call it a cb callback. This function actually accepts one parameter. Let's say who. Okay, you can name it as whatever you want. Okay, and I will print console.log who plus rocks. My voice is breaking. Is it for everyone? Hello. Okay.
No.
Okay. Maybe Rajesh, maybe there is a internet problem from your side. You can just check it out. So see, there is a function which accepts one parameter, and that parameter is actually we are using it inside a function. Okay. Then let's say you want to call this function in a set timeout. Okay. You're calling this function set timeout CB after let's say 3 seconds. Okay. But how will you pass this parameter, who parameter to this CB function? How will you pass this parameter, who parameter to this CB function? If you don't pass it, and if you run this, then after 3 seconds, it will obviously execute it, but here who will be undefined, and you will see undefined rocks here. Okay, then check it out. After 3 seconds, it will execute, but it will tell you undefined rocks. Okay, that's because we haven't passed anything to this callback function. Then can we pass it like this? Let's say I want to write JavaScript rocks. If you pass it like this, then this will not work because you are actually calling a function here. You're actually calling function. If you're calling a function, then the result of this function will be passed to set timeout, and that is not a function. The result of this callback is nothing but a like void, nothing. Okay, so set timeout will basically throw an error for you if you are passing anything apart from a function. Okay, so you cannot do like this. You cannot do call a function here. You need to pass a reference here itself. You have to pass only function reference. You cannot call this function here. Okay, but how can you pass this parameter? You can pass it after second parameter. So you can see like first parameter is handler, second is timeout, and after that you have dot 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 argument. That means you can pass as many parameters you want. Okay, whatever parameter you pass, those parameter will be passed to this function. Okay, like say I pass JS, JavaScript. Okay, and once you refresh your page, you'll see JS rocks here. Okay, so that means you can pass as many parameters as you want, and if you pass one parameter, that parameter will be passed here. If you pass two parameters, then second parameter will be passed as a second parameter. Okay, so as many parameters as you pass after the second parameter, those all will be passed to a your callback function as a parameter. Okay, so if you want to pass any parameter to your callback function, you can do like this. Okay, if you want to pass one more parameter, let's say a, and here you are passing 10, and if you are using a here, so the 10 you here you will see js rocks 10 like this. Okay, so you can pass as many parameters as you want. Okay, and all parameters will be passed to the function which is being called. Got it, everyone?
Yes.
Try this out, and there is one task for you. Okay, try this out and I will tell you the task. Okay, the task is basically you have to print, let's say um, you have to print hello after 4 seconds and hello after 8 seconds. Okay, but there is a constraint. Okay, constraint is you have to create only one callback function. Or let's say you have to use or create only one callback function. Use or create whatever. This is a constraint, and this is how what you have to print. Okay, can you try it out? Try this task. Let's see how much you have understood about set timeout. Just do this and try out this task.
Task is done.
Done.
Yes.
Okay. Good. Anybody has not got the answer? Hello. After timer 4000. Uh, print hello 4000. Okay. Let's execute your task here. What happens? Hello after 4000 or 4 seconds 4000. Hello after 8000 8 seconds. But I said you should print hello after 4 seconds here and hello after 8 seconds here. Okay. So you have printed 4000 and 8000. That's fine. Okay. But since you have to print 4 and 8 here, your answer is correct. Okay. You have just did done
Mm-hmm.
it like a separate thing. Okay. There is another approach as well. Okay. So what you can do is you can print like this. Okay. You can do instead of doing a set timeout here. Okay. You can call set timeout afterwards. Okay. Doing this is not a problem. Okay. But this is like print hello will always execute in a set timeout. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to execute print. Let's say I want to execute print hello after some time, or let's say execute immediately as well. So you don't have to include set timeout inside print hello. Okay, you
Okay.
can keep it as a separate function. It will execute its own task. Okay, you can include a set timeout like here. You can do it here, and here you can say like this. Okay, here let's say timer hello after then plus and then seconds here. Okay, and when you call this, okay, so you can call print hello here, and can call 4000 and comma you can pass 4 and call this 2 times 8000. Okay, you can call it like this.
Okay.
So you are calling set timeout twice. That's fine. Okay. But doing it inside print hello will be like you can say it will be a tight coupling. Okay. Because hello will always use set timeout. Instead, now print hello doesn't want to use set timeout always. Whenever you want to use set timeout, you can use this set timeout. Otherwise, you can directly call print hello as well without using any time. Okay.
Mm. Okay. Okay.
So this is like a loosely coupled. Okay. Now if you execute, you will get your answer. Hello after 4 seconds, you will get hello after 4 seconds. After 8 seconds, you will get hello after 8 seconds.
Okay.
Okay. किस किसको आया है? How many of you have got this answer? Or nobody has got? Okay. Good. You're new to JavaScript. Haven't you done basic JavaScript Johara before? Johara? Oh, then I would recommend first do web designing first. Okay. I hope you also have a web designing course. So do web designing first, basic HTML, CSS, and JavaScript first, and then come to Angular because it will become difficult for you if you directly come to Angular. Okay. So you can try this web design first, and then I'll try preparing these. Okay, that's fine. Okay. But if you are stuck on anything, just let me know, okay, so that I can, you can, uh, like, offline also you can ask me any doubts, okay, if you have any questions or doubts in basic JavaScript. Okay. Now, good. Okay. Now, this is set timeout. Okay. But is it guaranteed that if I write a code, okay, after for a particular time period, will that be executed after that time itself? Is it guaranteed? Is it
No,
guaranteed that? Huh?
no, no.
No. Why?
Because there is a thing called as call stack in JavaScript, and if
Mhm.
there are other what do you say other tasks that are in queue,
Mhm.
and this timer is expired, and
Mhm.
this console.log is in queue, and unless and until the previous task or the basically it is first in first out logic.
Correct. Got it. That's correct. So see, when you execute your task, right? I can prove this to you. Okay. Uh, See, what I will do, I'll just comment this one. Okay. I'll create a, set timeout here, and let's call this set timeout after, let's say, 500 milliseconds. 500 milliseconds is nothing but a less than second. Okay. So if I do console.log, let's say hello. Okay. And if I execute this, it will be executed immediately. Within a second, 500 milliseconds, it will be executed. Okay. You can see whenever I'm refreshing it, it is executed. Okay. But let's do one thing. After this set timeout, I'm using for loop. Okay. And in the for loop, I'm, let's say, using let I equals to 0, I less than, um, let's say, 1 e raised to 10. Okay. So I'm looping through an, sorry, I, and then I plus plus. Okay. I'm looping this like 1 e raised to 10. That means I guess it's more than million. Okay. So if I'm doing this, okay, I'm not doing anything inside for loop, but this for loop basically will execute that many of that much of time, right? And this is like a heavy operation. Okay. This is a time consuming operation. So even if I'm specifying that timeout should be called after 500 milliseconds, still it will not execute it. Still you will not see hello after 500 milliseconds. You can check it out. You can see my page is still refreshing, and after that for loop is completed, you will see hello. See, still it is refreshing. It's huge. Now you can see the hello is printed. So it is not guaranteed that your task will be executed after 500 milliseconds or whatever the time you have specified. Okay. Why this happens is because of the event loop. Okay. Event loop in simple terms, if you want to just understand now, whatever Vatsal has told, that's basically like deep understanding of event loop. Okay. But if you just want to understand in a simple terms, okay, so when you execute your task, okay, when you execute any file, JavaScript file, what happens is you can your code will execute from top to bottom. Okay. So when you execute your code from top to bottom, this set timeout function will be executed, right? But this function will execute after 500 milliseconds. Okay. So whenever you execute your code, so when your execution starts from top to bottom, that top to bottom is called as one event loop. Okay. After that, if there is anything pending, okay, then the event loop again gets executed. Okay. For that pending task. Okay. So here you can say from top to bottom, when I'm going from your JavaScript file, my code is executing set timeout first. In the set timeout, there is a function which needs to be called after 500 milliseconds. So it has put that function outside of your main thread. So it is executing in outside of your main thread. it has executed as well. Like in 500 milliseconds, it has executed as well. But it has not come back to your main thread. Why? Because after this set timeout, I'm executing a for loop. Okay. And this for loop is not completed yet. So your event loop, first event loop is not yet completed. Okay. Because this for loop is a synchronous task. It's not an asynchronous task. Okay. It is executing on main thread itself. So your main thread is blocked. Okay. Because of this for loop. So once this for loop is completed, your first event loop got completed. And in the next event loop, it is checking that, yeah, there was a function which was executed after 500 milliseconds that needs to come back to main thread. So it comes back to your main thread and then it executes that function and then hello is printed. That's how your basically code is executing. In simple terms, you can understand like this. Okay. But if you want to go deeper into that, then there is a event loop functionality, how it works. That's a different kind of thing. Okay. Don't go detail into that. Okay. I will explain. If you want, I will explain it to you separately. But right now, don't go deeply into that. Just understand how your code is executing. From top to bottom, you can execute. And from when you go from top to bottom, there is a one event loop. And when there are some asynchronous tasks which are going out of your main thread. So they when they come back to your main thread, they will come back when your next event loop will start. Okay. And in that next event loop also, if the task is completed, then only it will come back to your main thread. Otherwise it will execute in the separate thread itself. Okay. So that's why it's your like this function is not called after 500 milliseconds. It's called after your event loop, first event loop got completed, then this function got called. Got it? The flow of your JavaScript code. Okay. What about others?
Yes, got it.
What about others like Amol, Rajesh, Rishikesh, Sonali, Supriya is clear, Priyanka, Ratna, Rishikesh, and Balaji. What if we add 100 milliseconds timeout inside for loop? If you, yeah, I will repeat it. No worries. If you add 100 millis timeout inside for loop, then it will again going to take lot more time. Okay. So if you add a set timeout here, then it will push that like push those many timers. Okay, outside of your main threads. So they're like 1 e raised to 10 elements are there, and inside those 1 e raised to like inside that for loop, if you are calling set timeout for 100 milliseconds, okay, so 1 e raised to 10 set timeouts will be pushed out of your main thread. Okay, and those many calls or those many asynchronous tasks will be performed outside of your main thread, and that is going to take hell lot of time. Okay, because again I'm adding 100 milliseconds time gap into it. Okay, so but will it print the first set timeout? No, it will not print. Okay, because see, I'm not doing anything inside this for loop, still it is stuck. If you add a code inside that, then obviously it is going to take some time. Okay, even if you add a set timeout timer, then also, although the code inside this will go outside of your main thread, but the for loop is already executing, right? So it is going to take time. Okay, got it, Rajesh? Okay, yeah. So Amol, see, how your JavaScript code works is, so when you write any code or when you execute any sorry, when you execute any JavaScript code, it runs from your top to bottom. Okay, when it runs from your top to bottom, that top to bottom execution is called as one event loop. Okay, so inside this one event loop, see, when I'm running this code, okay, in this code there is a set timeout function is called. Okay, I'm calling this function because you can see I'm writing a round brackets here. That means this function is called. Okay, this function is called, but this function is actually putting this this function, like this callback function, okay, in outside of your main thread. Okay, so like in main thread, set timeout function is called, but this callback function is taken out of your main thread and it is executing is another thread. Okay, and in another thread, although it will execute, but it will execute after 500 milliseconds. Okay, but it will execute 500 milliseconds. It has performed its task as well. Okay, maybe if you just specify 0 as well, it has performed its task in a 0 milliseconds as well, but it has not come back to your main thread because it is outside of your main thread, right? So in your first event loop, your for loop is still pending. Okay, so when you try to execute for loop, it is executing from 0 to 1 e raised to 10 times. Okay, so this operation is itself is going to take a lot of time. Okay, so when this operation takes a lot of time, your event loop, first event loop is still blocked here. Okay, once this for loop is completed, your first loop is complete, first event loop is completed, and when your first event list got completed, your the call stack queue that Vatsal was mentioning, right? So that callback queue basically checks, yeah, there is a code that needs to be taken out of your queue and brought back into your main thread. Okay, so that code is brought back into your main thread, and then your function, this function got executed and hello is printed over there. Okay, and that's why in the second event loop, your hello is printed. Clear?
Sir, I have one doubt.
Yes.
What if we have two set timeout functions
Mhm.
and both of them have a same timer, like 500 milliseconds or 5000 milliseconds? Which one will execute first?
So, so basically, see, if both of them are 500 milliseconds, then the first which was executed will be printed first. You can check it out here as well. Let's say I am printing hello one here and hello two here. Okay, I'm putting this two. Okay, and if I'm refreshing, see, after the first event loop is completed, your queue will basically execute the first which was completed. So first execution was for hello hello one, and then the second execution for hello two. So they will
Okay.
be executed or printed in a orderly manner.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay, any questions or any doubts in set timeout? Okay, now let's see. Now set timeout. So we got it. Now I will create a new file. Okay, I'll name it as timer one.js, or we can call previous one as timer one and this one timer two. But that's fine. Okay, I'll name it as timer one.js. Okay, and see, we have seen about set timeout. Okay, set timeout basically executes a particular function after particular time, right? So there is one more function called as set interval. Okay, set interval. Now this set interval function, what it does is it also accepts two parameters or two or more parameters. You can say the it will also execute a call. It will also accept a callback function and timeout, but set interval will execute that function, okay, every time, okay, after your that timer timeout duration that you specified. Okay, means let's say if you have a function like this, and in this function I'm saying console.log um, hello after every 2 seconds. Okay. So I will execute this function after, let's say, every 2 seconds. So it will this line will always be printed after every 2 seconds because this function will be called after every 2 seconds. That means inside this set interval, this function is called every time after 2 seconds. Okay, you can check it out. See, hello after every 2 seconds. You can see 2, 3, 4. That means it will continuously print it out till when it will be like infinite times, till or infinite times, or till you do clear interval. Okay, clear interval. If you do clear interval, Now, clear interval is nothing but it is clearing whatever the timer or interval you have specified. You need to specify the ID here. So that ID we need to, the set interval basically returns a number. Okay, you can get it in a number, let's say timer ID like this. And this timer ID, you can pass it to a clear interval. But if you do this immediately, you will not see anything. Why? Because as you can see in the first event loop, although your set interval function got executed, it has put your function like in a separate thread, and it will execute after 2 seconds or 2000 milliseconds. Okay, but I'm doing clear interval here. That means before executing second event loop, this interval got cleared. So in the second event loop, there is nothing to be printed. That's why you will not see anything here. Okay, after even after 2 seconds also you will not see anything. Okay, so because the interval got cleared. Okay, but yeah, I can clear the interval after some time as well. Let's say I can use set timeout here. Okay, in the set timeout I can specify let's say function, and in this I can clear the interval after let's say 5 seconds. Okay. So after 5 seconds, it will clear the interval. Okay, that means this hello after every 2 seconds will be printed 2 times. Third time, it will not print because when the third time, on the third time, the timer got cleared. Because this function is also executing after 5 seconds. So after 2 seconds, the hello after every 2 seconds will be printed. After 4 seconds, hello after every 2 seconds will be printed. But when you come to 6 seconds, before 6 seconds, the 5000 like 5 second timer timeout is executed and it is clearing my interval. So it will be printed 2 times. Okay, you can check it out. Hello after every 2 seconds. Hello after every 2 seconds. Now it is clear. Okay, because 5 seconds after 5 seconds, your interval got clear. Okay. So that's what is interval is. Interval you can use it for for continuous task if you want to do any continuous task, or if you want to check for any particular object for after every particular time interval. You can use this set interval. And clear interval you can use to clear interval. We have a clear interval, we also have a clear timeout. Okay, so let's say if you are executing particular task after 10 seconds, and before 10 seconds there is some like there is some task is completed which actually doesn't require your the function which is actually executing after 10 seconds, then before that those 10 seconds we can clear the timeout so that your function which is going to execute after 10 seconds will not be executed. Okay, so the likewise we have a clear interval, clear timeout. Got it? Set interval and clear interval.
Yes.
Okay, now again there is a question. Yeah, good. There is one more task for you. Okay, do this. I will write down the task here. So the task is like this. You have to write hello. mm, Hello after every 1 second. Let's say hello will be printed 5 times, and after 5 times it will print done. Okay, and it will terminate. Okay, so here see, you have to do like this: print hello 5 times. Okay, after hello is printed 5 times, you have to print done. Okay, but the constraint here is you cannot use set timeout. So if you cannot use set timeout, you have to use set interval. Okay, but there is one hint I can give you. Hint is like use counter variable or counter. Try this task. Let's see how much you have understood about set interval. Anyone has got the answer?
So I've sent in the chat.
Okay. Let counter, constant interval, hello. Okay, perfect. Good. See, what's the answer is correct. Okay. See, when you approach any problem, okay, I hope most of you guys must have haven't got the answer. Okay. So when you approach any problem, okay, just try to solve it step by step. What do you mean by step by step? Just uh, solve the answer which seems easier to you. Right. What I want to do, I have to print hello. Okay, and it should be printed 5 times. So let's do one thing. I'll do set interval. Okay, I'll print it multiple times. Okay, inside this function, I'll do one thing. It should be called after 1 second, let's say. Okay, and I will do console.log. Okay, what this will do, this will print hello. Okay, after every second, this will print hello. Okay, hello. Yeah, this one I should comment it out. Hello, hello, hello. It will print it out. Okay, it will print more than 5 times. But I need to add a constraint to this, right? Constraint means what? I want to print this hello for 5 times only. So I have given you the hint. Okay, you can use counter variable. Use that counter variable. So let's say let counter equals to 0. Okay, it will start with 0, or you can say 1. Now here I need to increment this counter plus plus. Okay, uh, and after counter reaches to 5, let's say it is, if it is equals to 5, or if it is greater than equals to 5, like this. Okay, then you need to stop the interval. Now to stop the interval, we can use this clear interval. Okay, use clear interval. But what timer ID we can specify? We can specify timer ID here. Any questions? Okay, then good. Okay, So you can specify timer ID here, and this timer ID will be cleared when you reach when your code will reach up to 5 times. Your hello will be printed 5 times. Okay, let's see. I don't know whether it will be printed 5 times or 6 times. Okay, I can see after 5 times your interval has stopped. Right now, next last thing that I need to do is I want to print done. So just print done before clearing your interval or after clearing your interval. Print done here. The code is done. 5 times hello will be printed, and after 5 times done will be printed. Got it? That's how you should approach any type of problem. Okay, you should solve it step by step. Okay, take into consideration what thing you can solve it easily. Just solve that problem. Once you are done with it, then go for the next thing that you need to do. Okay, got it,
Uh,
everyone? Yes.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, Rajesh.
If if we go to the code,
Yeah.
maybe I'm understanding it incorrectly, but we are able to access a timer ID inside the scope of function?
Inside
Do you
this
provide
set interval
updates?
function. Yeah, because this timer ID is a global variable. I haven't declared it inside anywhere. I'm declaring it like globally, right? And global variables can be accessed anywhere. It can be accessed inside a function. It can be accessed outside of that function. It can be accessed anywhere. See, I haven't declared this timer ID inside of any function. I have declared this timer ID outside of this function. And there is nothing wrapping around this timer ID, right?
But
So
the value of that timer ID is actually the set interval using the timer ID, right?
yes, see, set interval is actually executing this function after 1 second, right? So
Hmm.
when you call a set interval, it will immediately return a number,
Okay.
right? It will immediately return a number, but this function will be called after 1 second.
Oh, right.
So after 1 second, you are getting this timer ID, right?
True.
Got it?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? No? So you can write this code and you can run it on your own. Then after this, let's move on to the next topic. So I hope everyone got the understanding of timers, set timeout, set interval. I'll again come back to this. Okay, once we do the next topic. Okay, and let's see how much you remember about set timeout and set interval.
Sir, can we clear interval of two function at a time?
Yes, you can. At a time means you need to call clear interval 2 times then. Or two.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So move on to the next topic. That is nothing but a scopes, variables and scopes. Okay. I hope you guys must have gone through the variables and scope in basic JavaScript. Okay. But still, I will take this one. Okay. I'll write scopes.js. Yeah. How many of you know how many scopes are available in JavaScript?
Function scope, global
Fun-
scope,
yeah.
Function scope, local scope, and function scope and local scope are nothing but same.
local scope, block scope.
Global scope, block scope. Correct. So there are types of scopes in JavaScript. Okay. So on top level, we have a global scope. Okay. So the top level means whatever you declare at the top level, it is called as global. Okay. Even if you declare a variable or a function here, so it is a global. Okay. Now, next scope is nothing but a block level scope. The block level scope is nothing but whatever you declare inside a curly braces. Okay. Let's say if you declare anything inside this is called as block scope. Okay. Even if you write a if condition, okay. Let's say if true. This is also called as a block scope. Okay. Even if you write a for loop or while loop, okay. Let's say um, where I equals to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus, then I will do. This is also called as block scope. But whatever you declare inside a function, let's say create a function sum and I'll pass a comma b here. Okay. And I will do, let's say, var result equals to a plus b. Yeah. So this is called as function or local scope. Okay. This is called as function or local scope. Okay. Now, what is the significance of this global scope, block scope, and function or local scope? Okay. Uh, can you tell me how many ways or how many keywords are there from which you can create a variable in JavaScript?
Const,
Where
let, var.
late const.
Var, let, and const. Okay. So there are three keywords: var, let, and const. Using these three keywords, you can create variables. Okay. Now let's see what how it is affected when you declare a variable using var, let, or const inside any of the scope. Okay. So if you declare a variable using var, okay, let's say var a equals to 10. Okay. Var doesn't correspond or doesn't like you can say uh, when you declare a variable using var keyword, okay, the variable is like a global itself. Okay. It doesn't what you can say respect your block. Okay. It doesn't respect your block scope. Okay. I mean by that, if I do console log here, console.log a, you are obviously going to get value as 10. Okay. You can see value as 10. But if you do console log the dot log a after this block scope as well, you are going to get a value of a as 10. Okay. This is with var keyword. What if I declare a same variable using let keyword? Let a equals to 10. Okay. Will it be accessible? No. You will see reference error. A is not defined. Okay. Because if you are declaring any variable using let or const, okay, it is block scoped. Okay. Variable declared using let and const, even if you declare a const a equals to 10 also, this will also not work. Okay. You will see a is not defined. Okay. Because they are block scoped. Okay. So here I will say variables declared using let and const are block scope. Okay. That means you cannot access the variable outside of your block. If you are declaring a variable using let and const. Okay. Here it will throw an error. Throw error as a is not defined. If you are creating a variable using let or const keyword. Got it? The scope of let, where, and const.
Yes. Sir, but I have one doubt.
Yes.
If we are defining const a on a
Hmm.
line number 2,
Hmm.
then it goes in something called a script scope. When I'm checking in
Const
the
a
yeah,
here
yes,
like this.
yes. And when I'm checking in the browser's dev tools in sources,
Hmm.
this is showing me in a script scope.
Where is it here?
Yeah, put a breakpoint on line number 2.
Hmm.
Sorry, yeah, and refresh the page. Look, it is giving us a this one.
Script scope. Yeah, that
Yes.
basically is actually a global scope itself. Okay, script scope is nothing but a your file. Okay, this is
Hmm.
script file. Okay,
Okay.
That's a global scope itself.
Okay. So that scope just what do you say? It is limited to that specific file.
Yes, that
Okay.
is limited to that specific file.
And if you put a var over here, then it will be
It will
exposed to
be
whole
used in
environment.
yes, in the whole environment. Right.
Okay.
Now, this is what is global scope is. Okay, or let's say variables declared using var, const, and let keyword. Okay. Now, let's say I'll just comment this one. Now, since you got the concept of var, let, and const. Now, what if I do console.log I here? What will be the output of I?
Not defined.
Not defined.
So it will print the last incremented value.
What will that be?
Uh, four,
4.
four, four, 4 or 5, 5, 4 or 5,
Why?
something like that. Yeah,
Why 5? Someone was telling I is not defined. Why I is not defined? Or why I equals 5?
because basically first it will like
Just now we have seen it's a block scope and I'm using var keyword. So if you are using var keyword and for loop is a block scope, that means this I can be accessed outside of your block scope as well, right? So whatever the value is been incremented, the incremented value you will see it over here. That means the 5 answer is correct. You will see 5. And refresh it, you can see 5. Got it? Understood? How answer is how you got the answer 5? Because we are declaring a variable I using var keyword. Okay, and for loop is a block scope. Okay, so if you are declaring a variable using I keyword, a var keyword, okay, that means that I variable is can be accessed outside of this block scope, outside of this for loop. Okay, so here when you loop through this particular for block, okay, you can see I has been incremented till 4. Okay, so 4 less than 5 is true, right? So it will go back and it will increment the value of I will become 5. I less than 5 is false. Okay, so it will come out of this loop, but the current value of I is nothing but 5. That's why value of this console.log I is printed as 5. Got it, everyone? How 5 is printed? Okay, good. Now if I want to prevent this, if I don't want to access this I variable outside of this for loop, what can I do?
Use let.
use let.
Use let. Can I use const?
No,
Why?
because const defines a constant value. Once it is initialized, we cannot reinitialize it.
Correct. So const, whatever value you declare using const keyword, okay, you cannot redeclare a value for const. Okay, so you have to use let keyword. Okay, so if you use let keyword, your I is now block scope. It cannot be accessed outside of your block scope. That means after for loop, this I cannot be accessed. Okay, that means this I scope will remain inside this for loop itself. Okay, so if I do this, I'm going to get an error. I is not defined. Okay. Now this is actually a good thing because if you are declaring using var keyword now, then someone from outside of your code can change the value of I. Okay. And if you can change the value of I, then it can produce like adverse effects inside your for loop as well. Okay, let's say you are doing some set timeout or set interval inside this. Okay, and after the set timeout basically executes after some period of time, so it will actually get the value of that var keyword. Okay, whatever the value is being updated. Okay, so always use let keyword. Okay, so avoid using var keyword. We can understand from this example itself, where is not a good option. Okay, where pehle se tha, like it was there in the JavaScript before. Okay, but to avoid such kind of errors, okay, or such kind of problems in the future, they have introduced let and const keyword. So use let and const keyword. Avoid using var keyword. Okay, developers also prefer let and const keyword. Okay, so when can I use const keyword? Use const, always use first, always use const keyword. Okay, because if you know your value is not going to change for that variable, use const keyword. And if you know that I'm going to change the value of that variable, use let keyword. Okay, otherwise use const keyword. Okay, always declare variable using const first, and if you think that my variable's value is going to change, use let keyword. Got it, everyone? Is it clear for everyone?
Yes.
Now, when you declare a variable using var keyword inside function, okay, or a function scope or local scope, it actually the variable declared with var, let, or const, it actually a function scope itself. That means I cannot access this result variable outside of this. Okay, if I do console.log result here, okay, I'm not going to get any value, even though if I call this sum function. Okay, if I call this sum function, okay, and after that I'm printing value of result, I'm not going to get any value. It will tell me result is not defined. Why? Because whatever value you declare using var keyword or let keyword or const keyword inside a function, its scope is function itself. Outside of function, it is not accessible. Okay, so variables declared with var, let, var or let or const will be function scope. Okay. That is, they cannot be accessible outside of the function. Okay. So whatever variable you declare using whichever method, var, let, or const, it will not be accessible outside of this function. Okay. So that's the basic difference. Okay. So even though this is possible, so I would always recommend using let and const keyword. Got it, everyone? Function scope, global scope, and local scope.
Yes.
Okay. Now, see, we can declare variable. Okay, using, let's say, let, const, and var. Okay. But if when you declare a variable using const, okay, let's say const a equals to 10. Okay, I cannot do a equals to 20. Okay, because it's a constant. If you do this, you are going to get an error. Okay? You will see assignment to constant variable. Okay, this is a type error. Means you cannot assign a value once you are declaring constant variable. Okay, but if you declare it using let keyword, you can obviously do it. Okay, you can check value of a here, console.log a here. You can see the value is 20. Okay, but if you do const, you are going to get an error. Assignment to constant value. Okay. But what if I do like this? I'm creating an object. Okay, let's say array, and I'm doing 10, 20, 30. Okay, and if I do a of let's say 1 equals to 40, will this give me an error or will this work?
It will work.
Why?
Because we are not reassigning any value to A, but whereas what we are doing is we are tampering with the memory location where A is stored or
Correct.
modifying the array.
Correct. Okay. Now, what happens in JavaScript? Now, this is correct. Okay. Actually, if you run this, you are going to get an array with 10, 40, and 30. The value will change. Okay. It is not going to throw an error, but where the value will change. Why this happens? Okay. When I'm doing const a equals to 10 and a equals to 20, it is not allowing me. But if I'm changing any value inside an array, it is allowing me to change it. Okay. That's because when you assign any value to a variable in JavaScript, it's actually assigned by reference. Okay. Now, what do you mean by assigned by reference, assigned by value? Um, I hope you guys have heard about this assigned by value or assigned by reference. If not, I'll just take one just example. Um, okay, whiteboard. See, when I create a variable, okay, let's say I have created a variable, okay. So when you create a variable using const keyword or any keyword, okay. So the variable a is created, okay. Let's say a, okay, and a is actually stored in memory, okay. So what a is actually storing a reference, okay. So you can say this 10, 20, 30 in memory. What happens is, let's say this is a memory, okay. In this memory, uh, mm, okay, let's say this is my memory. This is divided into multiple parts, okay. So here I can say, let's say 10 comma 20 comma 30, okay. This is the array which is stored here, okay. And this memory has some reference, or this memory has some location value, okay. Let's say the location value is 1234, okay. The location reference number is 1234, okay. That means 10 comma this array 10 comma 20 comma 30 is stored on location 1234, okay. So in a, what is stored is not 10 comma 20 comma 30. This array is not stored in a. Actually in a, the value stored is 1234, 1234, okay. So that means you are actually your a is actually pointing to 1234, and in 1234 10 20 30 is stored, okay. So what we are doing is we are not changing a is actually pointing to 1234, but the value inside 1234 is changed. When you do a of 1 as 40, okay, that means a of 0 is 10, a of 1 as 20. We are actually changing this value, okay. So um, I'm not able to edit this, but yeah, edit it, okay. So here the value is changed as 40, okay. That means your actual value is like in the memory itself I'm changing 10 for 10 20 to 40, okay. But your reference, the value inside a is same. It is 1234 only. Value inside a is not changed, okay. So that's how you can change the value if you are even if you are using const keyword. That's because the value is assigned by a reference, not assigned by a value, okay. Got it, everyone? How the value is changing even though we are using const keyword, okay. Got it, everyone?
This applies only for objects, right?
This only works for objects and arrays,
Yeah.
okay. This works for objects and arrays, okay. We can check it out. If you want to check, you can create a variable, let's say
So
user.
basically, array is also an object only, right? In
Yes.
JavaScript.
uh, Array, is not an object, you can say. Array is a different thing. Okay. Object is a different thing. Object has a key value pair. Array is index value pair. Okay.
Okay.
Here, the value is accessed using index, and
Mm-hmm.
here the value is accessed using key value.
Okay.
Okay. So here, let's say I have a user with, let's say, name. Okay. And I can say name as my name. Okay. And let's say some roll number, roll number 32. Okay. So if you do this, user console.log user. Okay. And I will repeat it. Just give me one. So if you do object, you can see name Pranit, roll number 32. Okay. But if you want to change the roll number, let's say user dot roll number equals to 33. Okay. And now if you do user here after changing it, you will see roll number as 33. Okay. The value inside the object can be changed. But if you try to do like this, user equals to another object with, let's say, this thing. Okay, the same thing, and let's say 34 like this is not possible. This is going to throw me an error, assignment to constant variable, because what you are doing here is you are actually creating a new object here. Okay, let's say in our this case, you are creating a new object here, let's say in the new reference block, and this reference id, okay, let's say this has a reference id as 5467. Okay, and here my object is stored. Okay, let's say consider I'm storing an array, because we are dealing with array. Let's say 50 comma 60. The new array is here, and what I am doing is when I do a equals to 50 comma 60, I am actually changing 1 2 3 4 to 5 4 6 7. Okay, because the new array is another location. Okay, so when I do a equals to 50 comma 60, that means a is pointing to 5467, which is not possible in case of const. Okay, because you cannot change this value. Once you have 1 2 3 4 here, you cannot change 1 2 3 4. You cannot change it to 5467. Okay, so that's what happens when you do like this. So if you are doing like this, okay, a equals to 50 comma 60, this is not possible. I'm just commenting this one. Okay, this is not possible. This will throw an error. You can see assignment to constant variable. Okay, that happens because what we are trying to do is we are trying to change value inside a from 1 2 3 4 to 5 4 6 7. Okay, which is not possible because you cannot change value inside this a variable. But if you try to change value inside this reference block, that's possible. Okay, because a is a's value is same. The thing is the value inside a reference or value inside a memory is changing. Okay, got it? Got it? How we can, why we cannot change value directly, but we can change the value inside that particular object or value array. Yeah.
So this is the example of call by reference, correct?
Yes, it's an example of call by reference.
It's array and the objects.
Yeah, array of objects basically. You can basically do like when you do any value, when you assign any value to a particular variable, it is always assigned by reference itself. The value is not directly assigned. Okay, even if you do like a equals to 10 and a equal, then you do const, like if you do const a equals to 10, and if you try to do a equals to 20, this is also not possible, because when you do a equals to 10, the 10 value is stored here, and the reference of that 10 is, let's say, 1 2 3 4, which is stored here. And when you assign 20, the 20 is stored in another reference block, and let's say it's a reference id is location is 5467. What we are doing actually trying to do is we are trying to change 1 2 3 4 to 5467. Okay, so which is not possible. Okay, even if you do scalar values as well, like assigning a variable, it's like same itself. Okay, so you cannot change the reference, but yeah, you can change the value inside that reference. Yes.
So this code is giving me the type of array as Object only.
Yeah, type of array is object only, but that is like a type of you can
Data
say
type.
data type itself. But
Okay.
actually, it's internally stored as array itself, and it has an index value pair.
Okay.
It doesn't like have a like key value pair. Key value
Mm-hmm.
is a you can say dictionary. So object
Yes.
is considered as a dictionary. An array is just a plain array which only has an values, but those are index based, like 0, 1, 2.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, got it, everyone. So I'll say here value is assigned by reference, so you cannot change the reference variable a. You can change the value inside the reference variable. So reference variable के अंदर का value you can change it. Okay. So but you cannot change direct value of direct reference of that variable. And same is the case with object as well. Huh? Object, in this case of object as well, you can change the value inside the object. Okay, whatever key value pair you want to change it, you can change it, but you cannot change the entire object itself. Okay. Got it, everyone? Const keyword.
Yes.
Okay. So I hope it's clear for everyone. The scopes.
Sir, what is the call by value?
Call by value is nothing but you are just passing a value. Okay, when you are passing a in JavaScript, there is no call by value. There is always a call by reference itself. Okay, a call by value happens in like in C++, where you specify if you want to pass, if you directly pass a variable, then it's a call by value. The value is passed. Even in the Java as well, when you pass a value, the value is passed to that variable. Okay, but when you pass a like a variable to a particular function, the reference is passed to that function. Okay, the actual value is not passed. So in that case, you use ampersand. Like if you I don't know, you guys must have learned about C plus or not, but there we used to specify ampersand to pass a reference. Okay, in here we don't need to specify the pass like ampersand or something. The value is actually passed directly as a value, but when you assign, it's actually a pass value assigned by reference. Okay,
Okay.
pass by value means like you are just copying the value to another memory location and you are passing the value. That's simply like that. Okay, so I'll just ask you one question, okay, which was actually asked to me in an interview. Okay, let's see whether you can give me an answer. I was asked only one question, but I will ask you two questions. Okay, let's say I'm declaring a very for loop here. Okay, for I equals to 0, I less than pi, I plus plus, and inside this for loop, I'm using set timeout. Okay, and in this set timeout, I'm using a function. Okay, and I'm printing the value of I here, and this will be executed after 1000 milliseconds. Okay, that's 1 second. Now, can you tell me the output of this? Don't run it. Just looking at this, you have studied about set timeout. You have studied about scopes. Okay. Now tell me the output of this. What can be the output of this?
It will
First
be
of all,
five.
tell me
Five,
whether
five times.
five times.
Yes.
Five times. Okay. So will it execute after every 1 second? Like 5 will be printed after every 1 second, or it will be printed uh, after 1 second itself.
No,
That is, hmm? It will print 5, but why 5?
because the for loop will not wait for set timeout to be expired, and
Correct.
the value of I will be incremented all the way till 5.
Mhm.
And since that set timeout is in what we say for loop, it was
Mhm.
already being initialized for 5 times when that loop got iterated,
Hmm.
and that's the reason we are getting 5 for 5 times.
Okay, good. But the main catch here is var keyword. Okay, you can see your answer is correct. The 5 will be printed 5 times. Okay, if refresh this, after 1 second, 5 will be printed 5 times. Okay, it's not like after every second 5 will be printed. Why? Because when you execute this loop, okay, this loop is executed in first event loop, right? So it has like your set timeout is actually called 5 times. Okay, that means there are five set timeout functions which needs to be called after 1 second. Okay, but they are taken out of your main thread at the same time. Okay, because it's like a nanoseconds of thing. Okay, in the nanoseconds they are taken out of your main thread, and all of them are executed after 1 second. That's why when in the second event loop, all of them are completed after 1 second. Okay, that's why the output is printed at the same time after 1 second. Okay, it's not like after 1 second there is another set timeout. After 1 second there is another set timeout. It's not like that. Okay, so all of the set timeout functions are executed after 1 second, and it's only 1 second. Okay, not 1 2 3 4 5 seconds. Okay, so that's why you are seeing the result at the same time. Okay, because all of the set timeout are executed after 1 second, and after 1 second all of them are executed at once. Okay, that's why you are seeing the value after 1 second at the same time itself. But why 5? Yes, interesting, right? But why 5? 5 because of this var keyword. See, as I told you, var is not a block scope, right? So when you declare a variable using a var keyword, the value which is incremented is 5, right? The set timeout will execute after 1 second, right? So before like executing the second event loop, in the first event loop itself, your I got incremented to 5. Okay, and since it's not block scope, when your second event loop got executed, the set timeout function, which is calling this function, got the value of I as 5 because it was already incremented to 5. That's why you are seeing value as 5 for every set time. Got it? Understood or not?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you want to prevent this, you can use let. Okay, because what let does is let will basically prevent this, like let is basically blocks code, right? So when you use let keyword, so when you call this set timeout function, the value of I which is passed to this function is nothing but a value which was there when this function was called. So in this case, you will again going to see like uh, after 1 second itself, but the value will be 0 1 2 3 4. It will not be 5. Okay, so if you want to maintain the value of I, use let keyword, even though you are using asynchronous task. So you can see let is actually giving me the actual output, expected output that I want. Okay, but if you use var keyword, it is not an expected output. Okay, these are like tricky questions. Okay, these tricky questions can be asked in the interview. Okay, I'm putting both of them here, var and let. You got it, right? Why it is 1 0 1 2 3 4 for let, and why it is 5 for var. Understood? Cool. What about others? Great. Vatsal, you have any doubts?
No, no.
Okay. Good. Okay. Now, let's
Sir, no,
say,
I have one doubt.
yeah, sure.
Since we first defined that JavaScript works in a FIFO manner,
Mhm.
and we have a same what do you say 1000 millisecond timer.
Yes.
So how will it do as we are seeing five, like only once, right?
Yeah. See, so see, when you execute it like in a queue stack or something like that, right? So see, this for loop is executed in the first event loop, right? In the first event loop, it has taken this set timeout, or like set timeout is executed 5 times, right? So all
Mhm.
of these 5 functions are separately executed in, let's say, in 5 threads. Okay, in 5 threads
Okay.
they are executing separately, right?
Okay.
So
Yes.
they are executing after 1 second itself. They are executing independently, right?
Mhm.
So first function is independently running after 1 second. Second function is also independently running after 1 second. That means all of these 5 functions are executing independently after 1 second itself. So there is no delay as such,
Okay.
right? That's why they are printed at the same time, not
Okay.
after
So like
execution.
if we give a timer like of a bigger number,
Hmm.
then we can see the like we'll see the difference like
Uh,
of 10,000 or something.
if you give 10,000 also, after 10 seconds, all of them will be printed at the same time itself.
Okay.
Okay, because they are executing independently,
So
right?
basically their timer is expired in the background.
Yeah, that is expired in the background, but all of them are expired at the same time itself, because they are executing at the same time,
Okay.
because they are executing parallelly,
Hmm.
right? So even
But
if you are,
JavaScript is a single threaded now.
it's a
And
single threaded, but internally it uses C++ library. Okay, V8 engine uses C++ library, which is actually
okay.
using libcuv. Okay, libcuv is a library used by C++, which actually what JavaScript does is it actually spawns thread inside itself using that libcuv library. Okay, so you are not aware of these threads. You cannot create threads, but JavaScript internally creates those threads. Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Yes.
Anybody has any other questions or doubts? No? Okay, good. Now let's say if I just swap these two things. Okay, if I do, uh, I'll comment this out. And if I do for loop inside set timeout, okay, I'm doing a set timeout, but for loop inside set timeout, what will be the output of this?
1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5.
One,
But
two,
just
four,
for once.
just for one, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times?
No, no. 1 2 3 4 5 will come only
Uh,
for once.
it will not be 1, 2, 3, 4, but it will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, that.
so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 will be printed once after 1 second, because we are calling set timeout only once, not 5 times. Okay, so your function will execute after 1 second, but after 1 second it is calling for loop. The for loop is called after 1 second. So you are going to see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, but after 1 second. See, if I refresh, after 1 second you are going to see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Got it?
Yes.
See, Even if I doing swapping these things, but the execution is different for both of this. Okay, here the set timeout is called 5 times. Here the set timeout is called only once. But in this case, I am executing for loop after 1 second, and here for loop is executed at the start itself, and it is calling set timeout 5 times, which is executing after 1 second. That's why the output is going to remain same, but the execution is different. Right? Got it, everyone?
Yes.
The timer functions and the scopes. JavaScript is very interesting. You can do a lot of stuff inside JavaScript, and you'll not never know what output it will give you. Okay, you have to have a concepts very clear for JavaScript. Okay, how the JavaScript works. If you know this, then you will be able to understand, or you will be able to give any answer for any tricky questions like this. Okay. So I hope everyone is clear with like timer functions and scopes. It's actually a time. So we can stop here. Okay. We can cover rest of the modern JavaScript related features in the next lecture. But anyone has any questions regarding timer or scopes, variables?
No, sir.
Okay. Cool. All clear. Great.
Sir, can you share your number so that I can message you my email ID?
Sure. It's actually available on the WhatsApp group.
But I
Yeah.
don't know which number is yours.
Yeah. My name is Pranit. So you can just go there. Cool. So we'll stop here. Okay. And we'll meet in the next lecture tomorrow. I guess it's from 7 to 9, the same time. And we'll see the other topics of modern JavaScript. Okay. Although these topics are very small or very uh, like easy, but when you go deep into that, you will understand this. These topics are have very much deep understanding of it. Okay. So I'll try to give as much knowledge as possible. Okay. But if you find anything, any topic not clear or anything which is not clear, you can uh, just ping me or reach out to me that this is not clear, so please. Okay, so let's stop and meet in the next lecture tomorrow. Okay, goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank
Take
you.
care. You're welcome.